So I realized in my last vlog that I forgot to tell you guys what was arguably the most important of the updates that I talked about, and that is that Amazon is finally displaying a paperback cover image for Lightbringer. So for those who don't know, this is a saga that's been going on longer than I'd like. So Amazon does not currently offer a paperback pre-order option. I'm really not sure why, but they don't. I think they're certainly big enough that they could do so if they wanted to, and I do think in the future, given enough time, that they probably will. I think this is probably one of those same issues where Amazon didn't offer hardback options for books for a while, and they do now, so I do anticipate in the future that Amazon will offer paperback pre-orders, but for right now, they don't. And so if you want to have your paperback available for pre-order, then you have to go through a third party. In my case, I went through Ingram Spark, and on their website, Ingram Spark says to please allow up to 6 weeks for all information to appear on the retailer's website. Well, Amazon was taking longer than I would like. Obviously 6 weeks is a long time, especially considering my book was already up for pre-order, and I'm like, people are not going to want to pre-order a book that has no cover image. It did have a cover image. It's not any different than the ebook, really, but it just wasn't displaying any image when you clicked on the paperback. So credit where it's due, Walmart had the pre-order on its website with the cover image up within 2 days. So I was very pleased with that. Barnes & Noble took a week, and I thought that was a long time, but Amazon took almost a full month. But it is finally there. It's displaying the paperback image. Hallelujah, we got that done. So I'm very pleased about that and excited, and I can't believe that I forgot to tell you guys in the last vlog, but it is up. Some of you may have noticed that already. Tomorrow I am going to meet with somebody who came in to my office yesterday. He wants to basically tell his life story, or he's being urged to do so by a family member, and they have no idea how to go about self-publishing. This isn't going to really be a commercial thing. They just want to be able to get the story for family members, and they had heard about my book and wondered how I did it and if I could help them. So that was really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. It's also kind of strange to think that I have enough knowledge to where I can give it to somebody else and help them, whereas not that long ago I was that person basically, and I was going to other people and asking the same thing. I mean, not in person, because there are YouTube videos out there and websites and tutorials and things that you can look up that way. But yeah, I'm very grateful to the people who have gone before, the people who have been self-publishing for years. I think that self-publishing as it is right now is more easy and more accessible than it's ever been. And so I'm just thankful to the people who went through it back when it may not have been quite so easy and accessible, and who were willing to share their knowledge, because that's really what makes all of this possible for everybody else. But yeah, I'm excited to do that. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. I don't want to overwhelm them with the information that I do have, because I feel like that's a tendency that I have, a natural inclination to overshare. I want to impart all of this knowledge and make sure that you understand, and I don't want you to be unequipped or whatever, so I'm going to try not to overwhelm them and just see what kind of questions they have and then maybe try to answer those specifically. But yeah, I'm excited and we'll see how it goes. Hi, hello. I have something I need to go do for work here in a little bit, so before I go do that, I thought I'd just give you guys a few more updates. So I had the meeting on Saturday with the guy. It went really well. I'm excited and looking forward to that. Basically, he hasn't finished the draft of the book that he wants to publish yet, and once he does that, I offered to help him with the formatting and all of that. I am not confident in my ability to do cover design and size that properly, so that is something that he may have to have outside help with, but that's a problem for later when we get there. Got some coffee. I've started drinking a new kind of coffee and it's really good. So let's just go down in the order that I've written this basically. First things first, the weather. You saw a clip of the storms that came in and rolled through, and I was really excited because the last storms that we had turned out to be nothing much really, and I thought that this would be a good opportunity for the weather system to record some wind speeds. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because the wind came from the west and the house blocks the west wind, so it can't really get to the weather system where it is set up right now, which means that I'm going to have to move it so that it's not blocked anymore, and that would be moving it out into the yard so that it can access the wind from all 4 directions in an area where it's not blocked by any buildings. And I'm going to need assistance with that because we're going to need to get a post of some kind and then sink that, and you have to dig a hole for that and pour some concrete. None of that is what really concerns me. What concerns me more is that there's only one family member who has a vehicle that can transport a post that large, and I just don't know when we're going to get around to that. Obviously, I'd like to do it as soon as possible because it's only a matter of time before more weather moves in and I'd like to get some accurate readings, but I don't think this matters to anybody else as much as it does to me. Also, I wanted to give an update with the weather system being where it is currently, and I guess I don't think it matters where it is really. I think as long as it's outside, you're going to have birds landing on it. And it took them a little while. There was a few days after it was set up where they didn't mess with it at all, and I guess they just hadn't gotten used to it and established that it was not a threat. And they have now established that it is in fact a suitable perch because we've had birds visiting and landing on it. And they do sell an accessory that you can buy and attach to the top to keep the birds off of it. It's only recommended that you do that if you are frequently visited by birds that perch. I'm not sure that we're frequently visited at this point, but it is a little bit annoying and we have to chase them away. I quite like birds personally. I think they're very cute, but they can lead to inaccurate rain readings, so we'll have to get them off of there. Writing news, I have finished my read-through of Guardians Duology Book 2. That's all done and it's completely formatted in all of its different versions. So we've got ebook, paperback, and hardcover. I do not plan on doing a hardcover for every single one of my books that I publish, but I do want to do hardcover editions for my big three, and what I mean by that is the Guardians Duology, which obviously originally it wasn't a duology, it was just one story, but the characters and the world and the storyline wasn't quite the same. It's evolved since then. It's turned into what it is now. But essentially that was one story. And then I have another story that was also a YA fantasy that I started writing the same year, way back when I was 12, when I made the decision that I wanted this to be my career and I started taking writing seriously. What I was writing at the time was not any good, but still that is when I consider this writing journey to have begun. So we have the Guardians Duology as one story at that time. I have another YA fantasy that I'm not even ready to talk about right now because there's just no point in talking about that at the moment, but that's the second one. And then I have my witchy pirate YA fantasy, which I'm going to be publishing next year, and that's the book that I'm working on outlining right now. So those are my big three, even though the other YA fantasy and the pirate fantasy have prequels attached to them, or I hope they will. One of them isn't written. The pirate prequel is written, so it does have a prequel, and then I have 2 prequel ideas planned for the Guardians Duology, so whenever I get around to writing those, whenever the ideas are fully fleshed out in the future, it will be fun to go back and visit that world and some of those characters. But obviously it's way more than just 3 books, but those are my big 3. They've been around the longest in terms of my stories. They absolutely mean the world to me. These stories have my heart, and I'd like to give them special treatment by giving them a hardcover edition, which will have extra bonuses in them like character art and playlists of songs that helped inspire the story or that I listened to when I was writing the story or that just have some sort of special meaning for it. So it's got a few extras in it if that's something that interests people. Who knows, we'll see, but that's just something that I wanted to do for these books in particular. Whether I will do hardcover editions for any books in the future aside from these is yet to be determined. And then, of course, like I said, I am working on outlining my witchy pirate YA fantasy, which will be the 3rd book that I'm going to publish. So I'm going to refer to it here on out as the 3rd book, even though it is in no way related to the Guardians Duology, so like, don't think that it's the 3rd book in the duology because that would make it a trilogy, but it's in no way related to the Guardians Duology. It's just the 3rd book that I would like to publish, and that will be published next year, but I'm working on outlining it right now, and it's going okay. I'm just going back through the previous draft, which I wrote in 2019, so it's been a little while. And this was the last fantasy book I think I wrote before I started my outlining process, so this book doesn't have a previous outline for me to go through, so that's why I'm doing that now. I'm creating the outline and identifying things that I would like to expand upon or improve, or any plot holes that I may come across. We're working on fixing all of that. But as far as who the characters are, their motivations, what they want, the world building, the plot, the conflict, all of that stuff is pretty much fleshed out at this point. It's just polishing it up and making it ready for publication. So that is going fairly well. I'm going to continue hopefully working on that later on today, and I'd like to start writing this book again, rewriting I guess really, at the beginning of May. I don't have to probably wait that long because I don't think it's going to take me the full 2 weeks to outline this book completely. I just like to start at the beginning of a month for some reason, but I really don't have to, so I may start earlier than that, but we'll see. And then the last thing I want to talk about is an update on Ingram Spark. So this is the Ingram Spark proof copy that I ordered. It finally arrived. It took like 3 weeks to get here, and I'm not thrilled with how long that took, but thankfully I didn't see any issues with it. As far as the manuscript goes, the inside all looked fine, so I didn't have to upload any more revised inside files. However, My mom cleverly noticed that there is something wrong with the spine. If you can see that, that one is sideways. It's supposed to be vertical, and this is completely my mistake. So when I first noticed this with the Amazon proof copies, I contacted my cover designer and said, hey, I'd like the one to be vertical, and she sent me an updated cover file, which I uploaded to Amazon and neglected to upload to Ingram. Now, maybe I am really just as dumb or as inattentive as I seem to be, but when I uploaded my revised manuscript files to Ingram Spark, I thought you had to upload cover as well. Even though the cover, it didn't need to be changed. I'm pretty sure I said that in a previous vlog. Well, it did, unbeknownst to me. So if I had paid attention and uploaded the revised cover files at the same time I uploaded the revised manuscript files, I would have paid twice, but I would have actually needed to. I wouldn't have been upset about it because my initial reaction was I don't need to upload the cover files because they don't need to be changed. So I basically paid twice for no reason. What I actually did was I didn't even need to upload cover files again if I didn't actually have to, but because both options popped up at the same time, I thought you did have to do both. You don't. I did need to upload the revised cover files, but instead, thinking that it forced you to upload files whether they needed to be revised or not, I mistakenly, unbeknownst to me, uploaded the same cover file that I had before, which was the wrong cover file because it doesn't have the spine correct. So I had to upload the cover file to Ingram again. I left the manuscript alone this time because I finally figured that out, because it did not need to be revised. I've already done that, thankfully. So I uploaded the revised cover file and it should be good now. I just approved the proof of it this morning. So hopefully when the Ingram copies go out, they have the correct spine on them. Everything other than that was fine. I was just angry at myself for having to spend even more money because I didn't pay as much attention as I would have liked, or I just don't understand how these things work yet. But we're learning. I will not make that mistake again, and that's what's important. But I might do a separate video where I compare the details between the Ingram proof copies and the Amazon proof copies and just how they're different. I think that could be interesting, but I'm not going to really talk about that right here. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to use this for promotional reasons. It can be behind me on the shelf in these videos. I can film reels of it and upload it to my Instagram, so long as I don't have the spine showing, because that is not the way it's supposed to be. But this doesn't have that bar across it like the Amazon proof copies, so I can use it for all intents and purposes as an actual copy of the book, even though I messed up and the spine is not correct. But the important thing is that the spine will be correct on all of the copies that people buy and go out to the public, so that's good. And I think that's all of the updates that I have, so I will leave you off here.